Tonight I would like to show you this book that it's important in my opinion because it can give you a easy opening repertoire to learn, and you will have a kind of novelty. Why do I say novelty? Because the book was probably printed like in 2010, and so when it was printed, everybody prepared against it, right? Because it became a sensation. But then, now we are in 2025, 14 years later, nobody remembers anymore that this exists. And so, if you study today, you have the chance to actually have a lot of surprises to your opponent. So the book is made upon 8 chapters that you can see here. The fourth one is about the berry attack, 150 attack, called Zuckerto system, beating the anti-Colley, classical Queen's Indian, anti-Benoni, anti-Dutch with 2 bishop g5. In fact, it's a good idea. Odds and ends. The book is based on about, I think, 68, 69 games. Yeah, let's see. 68. So it's based on 68 games. At the end of the book, there are an index of variation, so you can find easily what you were looking for. There is a lot of theory. I'm not denying that at all. I honestly don't really love it, but hey, what can you do? I like to see more games and see what are the explanation. But I think the book is kind of very good, honestly. It covers all the topics, and let's start to watch game number 1, okay? So game number 1 is Pira Ebden, played in Seville in 1987, okay? The game begins obviously with d4. This is the chapter about the berry attack. Knight f6, knight f3, g6, knight c3, and d5. Here at this point, the London system guy are happy because they can put the bishop there, also if it's not a London system, because the London system would be something like that, right? So bishop g7, e3, castle, and bishop e2. And here there is a diagram. Here it starts to tell you, welcome to the wonderful world of the berry attack. The outlook for the moment is calm, and there is not a pawn storm in sight. Well, certainly not against the white king anyway. White has a crude, almost barbaric plan from this position. Shove the h-pawn up the board and attempt to tear the black king limb to limb. There are a few circumstances when, as you might expect, this is not justified. Specifically when black plays 6c5, okay, if he plays this move, and continues to attack the center and queenside aggressively. Then it is time to show your opponent that you are not just a mad hacker and own those endgame skills to exploit the small but persistent advantages that arise. One of the main plus points of the berry attack is that this time there are almost no books for black to go running back to check. In the time 1987 for sure. Today I don't know, because the problem is that chess has become kind of commercial, and you have a title Tuesday every week. Before it was like twice a week, but now it's every week, and there are so many tournaments for top level player that it's impossible to follow. So here, yes, in 1987 I think nobody knew it. Today I'm pretty sure black should know it. Okay, 6 c5. The year 1987 was a particularly important one for the Berry attack, for it was the year that Mark Ebden was introduced somewhat painfully to its delights. After his defeat in this game, Ebden, a renowned King's Indian specialist, went home and had a long, hard look at the opening. As we shall see today, he is one of the world's leading exponents of the Berry attack. So he was converted to the Berry attack religion. That's funny. And he obviously came to the conclusion, if you can't beat them, join them. Here he says, he shows you an important alternative, which is this one, g6. So, sorry, c6, h4, okay, or bishop g4, knight e5, and there is also the other alternative, which is b6 and knight e5. So here it says these are all important alternatives which we shall examine later. So for the moment we examine the attack to the center, which honestly makes sense. Why? Because since white didn't play c4, black plays c4, right? That's what it is, this thing. 95. b6. Here it says knight c6 is more critical, and it is important for black to put as much pressure on white's center as possible, so as to dissuade white from his kingside attack, right? But this makes very much sense. Why? Because if there is an exchange, white is losing an attacker here, right? And if you lose an attacker, your attack may be compromised. Okay, however, he played b6, which doesn't seem so good because it creates a complex of the weak squares. h4, bishop a6. And now there is a very interesting move from white. I would tell you guys to pause the video and try to find out what white played. Why? Because yes, if you're just watching the video without ever thinking, you will not learn anything. So it's better to be interactive. Here, black ask to exchange the light square bishop, right? But if you really want to attack here, do you want to exchange the light square bishop? I don't think so, right? So as you can see, it's logical. What is the next move by white? It's bishop f3. And here, in fact, it says the light square bishop plays a very important role in supporting white's kingside attack. So, naturally, white avoids its exchange. It was logical. What's the downside? That now you cannot castle there, right? But who cares? If you play h4, it's because you want to attack, not because you want to castle. Again, as you can see, guys, chess is a game of thinking. Obviously, in a blitz game, maybe you don't have all this time to think, and so that's why in the beginning maybe you should avoid it. and focus on understanding what you are doing and why. Black continue with bishop b7, and of course white continue the attack, h5. Knight bd7, h takes g6, f takes g6. Here it says this gives black some central light square weaknesses, particularly e6, but is safer than the other capture, which is extremely dangerous for the health of the black king. Again, you can see that there is a big complex of white squares, light squares, that are weak now, right? And so probably it's just to find a way to exploit such a thing. Okay. So what does white do in this position? In this position you want to try to enter here, right? Because then you can play this. So obviously the move is this one. And like I told you before, yes, white doesn't want to exchange the white bishop, but you also want to remove a possible defender. f6, the knight f6 is a defender. So when black plays this and white plays this, as you can see, we have removed a defender from here, and now there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces against 2. It's a good majority, right? It seems it's a good majority. Here it says, one thing you will notice often about the Sverre attack is that although white tends to build up a powerful attacking position, like here, he leaves no real weaknesses for black to exploit. Indeed, if you look at the diagram, and here there is a diagram about this position, you will see that it is black who has the weak points for white to target. Okay? Yeah, obviously I told you, these are targets now that... Okay, so what does it do? He doesn't play this, because obviously white would enter, and he plays this to block the queen from entering here. But, like I told you, white was able to remove this defender. The defender of what? The defender of h7. No? So he plays this queen h3. And black needs to defend it. How does he defend it? Try to think for a minute. So it cannot be defended like this. And you say, what? Why? Again, boom. You understand the problem, eh? This is kind of big. If you play this, I think it's checkmate. If you play this, it's even worse, because there is check. And probably you lose something very important, maybe the queen. So you go here, check again. He cannot go here again for the checkmate, so he goes here, again and again and again. Okay, so black would definitely lose if he tries to. I think this was the position, right? If he tries to defend like this. So how does black defend here? Oh, sorry, the king was here. Here you cannot play this, and the book doesn't speak about it, but I think it's kind of logical, or maybe because there is this, so not a good idea. And so he defends in this way. Notice that it's not a good idea to bring your pieces back. Why? Because they become less active. So obviously black was obliged to do something like this, but keep in mind that in my opinion already here it seems that black has lost the opening battle and white has a good position. So what does our friend here play? He plays g4. And of course this black is a grandmaster playing, so you understand that he is in a terrible position. So what does he do? He tries to get some release with this kind of sacrifice. Tack and tack. So what should white do now? Well, white has this attack and so he needs to move it. And then it's black again, turn, and what does he do? He plays this. Why? Because he's trying to remove the defender of this so he can take it. Because this is a very annoying horse, right? Very, very annoying horse. Obviously, white doesn't go for that thing. No, he doesn't take, he doesn't move this. The typical move of a grandmaster is to attack more, and he does it with queen h5. To this, it's followed by queen d6, and boom, queen f7. Very interesting move, right? So it comes to ask the question why he didn't play this. Probably because he was taking this. Okay. Queen f7. Okay, queen d6 is interesting because it takes control of that square, so it's kind of important, yeah. As you can see, sometimes we are not computers, we don't see immediately all the things. In any case, king h8, and finally white castle. Why? Because he's probably going to sacrifice that rook here, and he wants the other rook to go there to give checkmate. So that's the reason of that. And of course, black tries to take that knight. White takes back. The queen takes again. And yeah, there is this that is keeping that, so that's why white still didn't sacrifice on that. Interesting. And knight takes d4. Queen g7, trying to obviously remove the attacker. Queen takes g7. King takes g7. And now there is a diagram. Here at the diagram it says black struggles on from here valiantly, but is ultimately lost, not only because of a material disadvantage, but also due to the passivity of his pieces. Yeah, we are at move 23, and this still not in the game, obviously. So what can you do? Rook d e1, rook e8, finally it comes into the game. Rook h5, attacking this. King g6, defending it. And knight f3, attacking it another time. Here it says that instead of knight f3, it was probably this to prove that black has lost the game, but okay. Oh, it's okay. So after knight f3, obviously h6, and then knight e5 check. The king goes back, and the rook goes here, doubling up on that pawn. d4, attacking the rook. Rook 1 h2, and rook c8, trying to create some counterplay. Let's see what our friend plays. He plays f4, very interesting. G takes f4, rook, oops, sorry, rook f5, and knight g6. Knight takes g6, king takes g6, and rook takes f4. Here there is e5, black tries to have a pair of pass pawns, rook f5, rook c5 protecting it, and rook f, h5. And here black plays a very interesting move, bishop e4. And he says black has done a great deal to improve the positioning of his pieces, but has not been able to redress the weakness of his pawn structure. Rook takes h6, king g5, and now rook h8. As you notice, is keeping that pawn, so it becomes a little difficult for black to actually do something. The material, yeah, seems nearly equal, but white has a quality, and then, I don't know, let's see what happens to that pawn. It gets taken. Poor little pawn. And rook f8, cutting the king from going toward the direction, bishop f3, and king d2, e4, and here there is a dubious move by white, which is rook d8, and of course here maybe because we are at move 40, so maybe both players were short of time. Black played this when the move was this one. And after rook king d3, it would have been here, right? Because then you try to support this pawn that is going to be promoted. And so white has to give you back the material. So that's why. Rook c4, not so good. b3, obviously asking the question, what do you do now? And he does another dubious move, which is rook c7. After this move, I think the thing is over. Rook takes d4, king g3, rook h8, obviously you go behind to attack, king f2, trying to support the thing, and of course rook h8. Rook g7, trying to pass from the other side, and here we have giving back the material. Why? Because this is the reason why you need to study rook endgames. You need to study endgames, because otherwise you will never be able to win a game. So guys, there is this book that is just new, and I think you should drop everything and try to read this book cover to cover. Why? Just read it, no? Just read it. There are also exercises, very stuff, but this will open your mind to win in a position like that. So how do you win in a position like that? Obviously white was also a master level player, and of course he gave immediately the rook back. So let me see, yeah, rook d takes e4, boom, bishop takes e4, and rook takes e4. Now there is rook d7 check, king c3. As you can see, guys, that's why I like to see entire games, also if it is about the opening repertoire. Why? Because with an entire game I can learn about the endgame. And the only way in reality to learn the endgame is also not only reading that book that I just showed you, but it's playing in tournament. You avoid to make quick draws, you always reach the endgame, and when you reach the endgame, you play till the end. That's the way you learn chess. King f3, rook e8, boom, check again. Rook c7 check, right? And king b2. As you can see, this is very important. Why? Because it's cutting the king from coming to help, and now it's only question of technique. White needs to be able to move his pawn, exchange them, and then when he has a pass pawn, just to push it, right? King f4, c4, king f5, king c3, b5, rook e2, king f4, king d4, b takes c4, b takes c4, rook d7 check, king c5, and king f3, oops, rook e6, rook c7, boom. Can you imagine? If he does this, yeah, tell me how you stop that, no? So obviously he plays king f4, c5, king f5, and now you go back again. So as you can see, this manual that is just about the opening repertoire is becoming very useful also to learn the endgame. Rook d7, king c6, rook h7, and now there is king d6 and black resign. So why did black resign? Let's make an example. Check. Obviously you can put the rook there, you go here. What does it do? Check again. Oops. What do you do? Now this is only 3 squares away from promotion. The game is over. Here it says, again, it's no coincidence that shortly after this game, Ebden became one of the Barry attack's strongest advocates. Okay, the book continue. I want to show you, obviously, more games from this book. I hope you enjoyed this game number 1. And we will continue the next time with a game from another chapter. Or eventually, please let me know through the comments if you want more games from chapter 1. I will try to make another game. Okay. However, for logic, how do you study opening? Through a role model. In this case, we just know that the role model is Grandmaster Ebden, right? So what you do is you go online, you find games of Grandmaster Ebden with this particular line, this berry attack. And so you will learn how to play the berry attack. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. Thank you very much.